6 Things Women Found Really Attractive in the 60s. There's no bigger mystery in life than what women want. Mel Gibson even made an entire movie about it. Yes, it was a bad movie, but I guess the point still stands. Unless a man can literally read minds, he has almost no clue what women are thinking. Thankfully, our society still has 20/20 hindsight, so while we may not know what women want today, or, God forbid, in 5 years, we do know what they wanted in the 60s. How is that information relevant to us today? Well, we're probably going to invent time travel sooner or later, and you never know when you'll end up in the 60s having to hit on a woman. Thank me later. You can probably single-handedly thank David Bowie for this, but back in the late 60s androgynous styles were considered to be extremely sexy. Of course, the slightly longer hair of the Beatles, for example, helped blur the lines between what was considered to be manly and feminine. Long hair for men has only had a few short decades where it was popular, and what started in the 60s died out very quickly in the late 80s. It was a rebellious statement to make, and the style was quickly adopted by what we'd now call hippies. The long hair instantly showed women which men were more rebellious and which were more traditional. Chain smoking. It's hard to imagine this one, isn't it? In our current society, smoking has all but been eliminated from the public life, yet in the 60s being a chain smoker was considered extremely attractive. It was considered a very manly thing to do, despite society already being aware of a clear link to cancer at the time. Male dominance. What we'd now refer to as toxic masculinity was considered to be attractive 50 years ago. Traditional gender roles were very much defended and even desired by many women. The man had to be the provider while the woman had to stay at home and looked after the household and the children. Facial hair. While this is slowly but surely returning to our current society and facial hair isn't considered dirty and weird anymore, we'd have to go back to the 60s to find a decade where full facial hair was considered manly and sexy. And probably the best news in this entire article, having no muscles was considered attractive in the 60s. The typical dad bod was the ideal body shape for men in that decade, and boy would that have saved me many hours at the gym. I hereby volunteer as tribute for the first time travel machine that goes to the 60s.